Do you ever consider that perhaps you've never witnessed this phenomenon? Narcissists, however, openly display their true selves. Take a moment to observe your surroundings. How do they manage to remain concealed? But this charade can't persist indefinitely. Circumstances are deteriorating rapidly, yet nobody appears to take notice. Their method of concealment is unique and difficult to overlook. Nevertheless, their exposure is inevitable. Curious to learn how? Pay close attention. Greetings, everyone, welcome back. I trust everything is proceeding smoothly for each of you. Today, let's delve into how narcissists reveal their true nature. Don't assume they can continually evade detection. Ever wondered about their tactics? How do they typically operate? Examine closely and acknowledge, I wouldn't trade places with them for even an instant. Reflect on the web of lies and deceit you've encountered. Ponder the narratives they've spun for everyone. Moreover, recognize that despite their cunning, they aren't as astute as they believe. Indeed, they are human beings. While this assertion may stir debate, they are humans nonetheless. Their facade will inevitably crumble. I'll also discuss the unmistakable signs that a narcissist is under scrutiny, how they become ensnared, and how their masks eventually slip. So how do they ultimately unveil their true selves? It's quite amusing, isn't it? It empowers you, doesn't it? Exposing them renders you stronger because they're so profoundly unsettled when their true selves are laid bare, correct? Naturally, they refrain from revealing their genuine selves because the exposure distresses them greatly. They're unhappy when they're visible to others. Let's acknowledge the truth. They've spent a lifetime concealing a dark past they're unwilling to confront or divulge. Ultimately, truth prevails. Their indifference towards others becomes apparent. Initially, this is challenging to discern as it's not readily apparent when someone lacks concern for you. Granted, some narcissists exhibit calculated empathy, but not all possess this trait. They feign understanding of love and empathy, purporting to comprehend your emotions. However, their facade crumbles over time as you realize its insincerity. This becomes irksome, prompting you to question, how can they be so oblivious? You'll also notice patterns of behavior that are consistent and predictable. Over time, this becomes more discernible. Additionally, they resort to deceitful tactics in attempts to manipulate you in various ways. Yet as you ponder, hold on a moment, their schemes become transparent. How can one's life be perpetually tumultuous and dramatic? You contemplate what's truly occurring. They believe they've deceived you because of your adeptness at deceit and manipulation. They grow complacent in their unshakable confidence. Eventually, they fabricate lies so transparently false that you're compelled to question, seriously? Is there even a modicum of truth to their claims? Following this, you start to think more deeply about what's happening and say, this isn't right. You wonder how one can be the center of constant trouble. You decide that you don't want to keep up that kind of friendship or relationship. You tell them, no, I'm done. They are not open to being helped, and their minds are very weak. It is almost impossible to voice worries or point out possible mistakes to them. These kinds of exchanges usually end in fights. They always put the blame on other people, which makes you wonder, why am I always wrong? When you go up to them with something, they always have an answer ready. It looks like they're always trying to beat you. After a while, this gets annoying and makes you think, no, this is not okay. The way most people act doesn't match up with that. This trend that keeps happening shows how easily they are hurt by criticism. They have a hard time taking even the mildest criticism. People may see something as offensive even if it doesn't have anything to do with them, thinking you're making fun of them when you're not. How can they not understand, is something that you can't help but think. Over time, you can see that their view of the world is off. It's as if they see it differently and constantly center their attention on themselves. This constant twisting of reality starts to make less and less sense, and you finally say, "No, this isn't working for me." This brings us to the second point: they are not responsible. Since this is the case, they always put the blame on others, never say sorry, and think it's okay to behave, speak, and treat others badly. They keep putting down the people around them, which keeps the fighting going. Their unpredictable behavior gets old and makes you feel uncomfortable when you're around them. This makes me feel bad because they don't take responsibility for their actions and their views are twisted. Because of these things, you need to reevaluate the situation and start pulling away. Nasty people are very sensitive, and they can tell when you start to distance yourself from them. They can tell that their normal tricks, games, and attitude aren't working on you anymore. Yes, they are no longer effective, you answer with a firm tone. In this situation, they become even more guarded, which usually makes them seem less valuable. You might say to yourself, "Enough of this already." You've had enough and know that their defensiveness and putting you down are not acceptable. Is this really how I should be treated? This thought makes me ask. Is this the kind of world I want to live in? Have you thought about how it's like a snowball effect as time goes on? You start to have doubts about the narcissist's behavior, and you decide that you don't agree with it. Your inner voice tells you, this is just not okay. What's going on here? All of these problems add up and test your patience. You think, I no longer want to put up with this. These are the lines that will show you the way. You shouldn't think that the narcissist will change or be different with someone else. Believe that they will not. The ego doesn't change. They don't want to change, and they keep doing what they're doing even after you beg them to stop. They don't want to take responsibility and don't want to think about how their actions might affect your health or the happiness of the people they say they care about. People, this is what's really important. They don't care. They are not able to understand how others feel. No matter how they act, they can't really understand what you're going through, or at least not all of it. So, you start to feel left out and realize that you should be careful around this person who doesn't really understand who you are. When you understand you're losing your sense of self, this problem turns into a personal one. It's no longer possible to be with this person because they are not good for serious relationships. It becomes clear that they can't connect with you in a real way. In a strange way, though, they also can't stop caring about you. At first, they might try to avoid the effects of their actions because they think you don't know they are lying. Hey friends, you do see through their act in the end. This is the main point. When these problems happen to you or to a group, they make you start to doubt what is really going on. At first, you might take the problems personally and think, maybe I need to change. Maybe it's my fault. But as time goes on, you understand that you're not to blame. You are not responsible for it. When that happens, you start to withdraw from that person, and in the end, you leave them. I understand that the process takes a long time and that splitting up isn't easy, especially since the tragedy is still fresh in their minds. You are here, my friends, because you did that thing anyway. Because you're here watching this movie and others like it on my channel, I'm putting more emphasis on that. By choosing this material, you have already agreed to put in the work that needs to be done. You already know about it. If you have thought about or are currently dealing with any of these issues, please know that I offer one-on-one consultations. You can get more information by clicking on the link below. I'm also a part of a mentorship program and a writing society where I offer content every Monday. There is a link to more information in the summary that follows. If this task turns out to be hard, watching this movie might help you understand the narcissist's behavior and the basic forces at work. I am sure they are no longer interested in you and can explain why. Still, I go into more detail about some of the topics that are talked about in this video. Lastly, you might want to join my Discord group if you want to meet people who like the same things you do and be a part of a community that supports each other. The link is inside the next paragraph's description. It lets you talk to people who can connect to your situation in a safe space. There, we also run live conversations. I really appreciate that you watched this video and can't wait for you to join the next one.